Hi everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video we are going to be doing a commentary / analysis of Miraculous Ladybug Season 4 Episode 11, Guiltrip. So it was on last night in Brazil, and I do try and get the commentary videos up on the same day the episode comes out, but because it was on so late in Brazil for UK time, there was no light with which to film, I had no energy with which to film, and I'm pretty sure my family, who were trying to sleep at the time, wouldn't have been too happy about me filming that late at night. So it's going up now, the day after. Sorry about that, it's just the way it is. It'll be the same with Queen Banana next week as well, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be on at the same time. And just before we start, let me please apologise for my voice and the way I sound. I'm just recovering from a cold. You probably heard it in all the voiceovers last week. Some of the videos I uploaded last week were pre-filmed before I got a cold. I don't know how I've caught one. I've been wearing a mask every time I go outside, so I don't know how I possibly caught one, but I caught a cold. You can still hear it in my voice. It's just the way it is. I should be recovered fully for Queen Banana next week, but I'm sorry if I don't sound normal. And one last thing before we start, I'm about to spoil the entirety of Guiltrip for you, so if you haven't seen it yet, please check the description box for some links to where you can go and watch it, but eventually those links will stop working as they get taken down for copyright and things like that. So if you just want to know my quick thoughts on the episode, I would give it a 7 out of 10. I did like the episode. I didn't hate the episode, I liked the episode, but it definitely wasn't as good as like Truth and Gang of Secrets, which have been my favourite episodes so far this season. Definitely wasn't as good as them. However, I'm not mad that it wasn't as good as them. It's just the nature of the structure of Miraculous. If we look at season 1 for example, most of those episodes, apart from the Origins episodes, they were all standalone episodes with their own self-contained stories. It had the same relationships carrying over and the same roles everyone had, but other than that they weren't connected by plot, and Guiltrip doesn't really seem connected by the overall plot of Miraculous Ladybug. I think the only thing that's really going to play into the plot of the show is the fact that Rose is now the Pig Miraculous holder. That's all that really seems to matter in terms of the overarching plot of the show. So it was definitely a standalone episode, and as a result it ended up not being as good as some of the other episodes we've already seen this season, but it was still a good episode, just not as good. It wasn't a bad episode, just not as good, you know? I also on Sunday uploaded my spoiler video for the episode where I put together all the shots from the trailers and all the other spoilers we had to try and work out what was going on in the episode, and I was the least confident about predicting this episode just because it was so odd. It had such an odd structure to it in comparison to other episodes, and I mean I definitely got some of it right, but I feel like for the most part I was incorrect, which I was actually kind of glad about, because doing those spoiler videos, as much as I like doing them, it does somewhat ruin my enjoyment of the episode by working out what's going to happen before it actually happens. I have a pretty good feeling about predicting Queen Banana, but this one I was like, I'm not so sure about Guiltrip. So I did really enjoy the episode because of that, because I didn't predict it quite as accurately as I usually do. So let's start with Marinette. She is definitely 100% still in love with Adrian, and just that whole little bit in the class was so cute with Nino and Alia passing their notes, so it definitely is confirmed it was Nino and Alia. I had such trouble working out who those hands belonged to. I was just like, who is it? I did guess Nino and I wasn't sure after looking at it a few times, but I wasn't sure about the other person's hand. I guess it makes sense that it's Alia. Then we had Marinette staring at Adrian, and then Nathaniel was drawing, and I couldn't really work out what he was drawing. But was he drawing Mark? I just kind of want it to be Mark, but I couldn't really tell who he was drawing, because it did kind of low-key look a bit like Chloe, but I also do have really bad eyesight, hence why I'm wearing glasses. So I don't have a clue who Nathaniel was drawing. However, he did look very happy drawing them, so let me know who you think he was drawing, because I thought the opening scene was adorable, especially with Marinette and Adrian. She is definitely still in love with him. Speaking of Adrianette, this episode, even though we didn't get that many Adrianette moments, the moments we did get, beautiful. Like when she bumps into him in the courtyard, the look on his face. I'm just gonna put the whole thing on the screen. I'm gonna fill the screen with it. His face is more important than my face at this moment in time. But if that is not the look of a man in love, then I do not know what is. Like, look at it. That is not the look you give to someone who is just your friend. If one of my friends looked at me like that, I'd be like, you okay, hun? You okay? Is there something you want to tell me? Because friends do not look at their friends like that. There is no way. No way. It was definitely so cute though when they had some decent dialogue between them. However, and I say this all the time, I watch Miraculous for the writing, for the story, not for the animation. I don't know a great deal about animation, but people have been trying to tell me more about it in the comments, so thank you very much. But when they enter the boiler room and Marinette falls down the stairs, it just kind of cuts to that still of them falling into each other. Like when I watched it the first time, I thought the episode I was watching, they'd missed out a scene. And I did check some uploads of other episodes, but they all seem to just kind of skip, like they're walking, she falls, and then cut to that scene. Was that unfinished or was that intentional? It just looked a bit odd to me. Like I said, not an animation expert, but it did look somewhat odd to me. So just a question, maybe it's a stupid question, but was that unfinished? Either way, Adrien and Marinette make it down into the boiler room and they find Julica, and Marinette starts talking and Adrien's knelt next to her. I will just fill the screen with these images because I'm going to be looking at them until I die. That's a bit dramatic, but I know it's true. Marinette starts talking. So Adrien before that looked like he was about to punch someone. He looked very angry. He turns to look at Marinette. The look on his face as he looks at her, like, was beautiful. And then he turns back to Julica, and the smile he has on his face after looking at Marinette like that. It was wonderful. I loved every second of it, and I'm so sad that Marinette didn't get to see Adrien look at her like that. I mean, she probably would have had a panic attack if she'd seen him looking at her like that, but it was just... And also how close he was to her when he turned to look at her, like, he obviously feels so comfortable with her, and it was wonderful. I think this is the reason why I liked this episode so much, was because of the Adrienette. We didn't get a lot of it, but what we did get was incredible. I loved it. I loved it so much. I'm sorry. As we all know, I am a Love Square stan. I will ship really any side of it. I'm not the biggest Ladrien fan, but you know, I'll take what I can get. I still like it. But Adrienette and Marinette are where it's at for me. And we also got some really decent Lady Noir in this episode. Oh yeah, but that boiler room section when it was just Marinette and Adrien and Julica, but really Julica may as well not have even been there with the way Adrien was looking at Marinette. It was just perfection. However, this scene also finally revealed that Marinette is in fact actually still the class rep, after episodes upon episode upon episode of her doing absolutely nothing. She's like, I'm the worst class rep. I'm like, yeah. No kidding, you've done nothing since Darkblade, which I'm pretty sure is the episode where he became class rep. You've done nothing since then, Marinette. Absolutely nothing. It was great to see. She's finally acknowledging, maybe I should do something as class rep. But the reason why Julica was upset with Rose being in hospital and having to keep the secret to herself, I never would have guessed that. That was definitely one of the things that was confusing me the most about this episode, was why was Julica so upset? I definitely never would have guessed that. I saw all the comments, everyone was like, it was Rose's birthday and Julica forgot. And I was like, I don't think she'd be that upset about it. Like, I just didn't. It had to be something more serious, and that definitely adds up. I would never have guessed that being the reason as to why this whole situation happened. Kim's line about being by a zombie dolphin was oddly specific, and the entire class the next day after this has happened, they were so suspicious. They would be so bad at Among Us. They'd all lose immediately. Even if they weren't the imposter, they'd all get ejected immediately. They are so terrible at lying. It was awful, but also kind of really funny with how stupid they were, and I guess it might give us some insight into how Ali is going to help Marinette lie about where she's going, since now she knows the secret about her being Ladybug. Honestly, I was also really surprised that Lila was in this episode. In all the other shots we got of it, there was no sign of Lila, and as it was, she was only in like 2 or 3 scenes sat at the back of the class, but she really did nothing. They don't even usually bother including Lila if she's not going to do something. Generally every other single episode she's been in, she's been a central character in the episode. The rest of the time they just usually don't bother putting her in because it's just like extra effort, and if she's not going to do anything they just don't bother. So it was very odd that she was in there, but she did absolutely nothing. However, when it got to the science class, at first when I saw the proper shot of the class from the other angle where you could see everyone, I thought Marinette was still on Lila's desk. Obviously she was still on Ivan's desk where there's a spare seat next to him, but I was like, well, it does make sense that Marinette would just stand on Lila's desk because, you know, why not? I thought it was Lila's desk. It wasn't, it was Ivan's. So I'm thoroughly disappointed by that. She should have stood on Lila's desk instead. Of course, Lila, Chloe and Sabrina stay behind because that's who they are as people. I wasn't surprised in the slightest, and Madame Mendeleev is definitely a Karen at heart. She's just like, I'm not a superheroine, everyone sit down, forget the Akuma. She is like a Karen towards Akuma attacks. That's... I think she's kind of funny. I don't really like her all that much, but I do think she's kind of funny. However, I do have to ask, why didn't Ladybug and Chat Noir question how they got there that fast? Literally the Akuma attack happened and they were there within seconds. Like, obviously this is episode 11 and we've got quite a few episodes before that that we haven't seen, but have they maybe acknowledged that they possibly go to the same school? Because they just didn't even seem to question it. I'm like, you got there literally as it happened. Like, Ali didn't post it on the internet. Like, how did you know? No one gonna question it. How they got there so quick, because they were like lightning quick. Like, they really need to think this through a bit more, these two. They just need to think it through a bit more, because if they just opened their eyes, Slash went to go and get an eye test and then properly saw everything, they'd have worked it out no problem. This show would be over by now if they'd just gone to get an eye test already. Like, it's painful to watch at this point. Also, speaking of Chat Noir though, when they were trying to peer into the vortex and Ladybug was like clinging to his baton with his yo-yo and he was just sat there being a little cat around the bathroom in the locker room. That was so cute, I loved it. And also we desperately need to talk about Nino's line when he's been made into a reflector. What he was feeling guilty about was that he couldn't help his best friend stand up to his father. What on earth has happened between Gang of Secrets and Guiltrip that's made everyone feel like this? Like, I'm dying to know how these relationships have progressed chronologically and what has possibly happened between Adrien and Nino. I made a whole video about whether or not Adrien would reveal his identity to one of his friends, and I kind of concluded that no, because Adrien doesn't really feel any pressure to be Chat Noir the same way Marinette feels pressure to be Ladybug. Adrien feels pressure to be Adrien Agreste, the son of Gabriel Agreste, because of everything he has to do. So I felt like his secret was more about how he feels in that regard. So I'm like, has something happened between episode 3 and episode 11 to get Nino to feel like that? Like, it was just really nice to see. I'm just dying to know what happens in episode 4, which currently has no air date. I just need to know right now. Like I mentioned before, the Lady Noir we got in this episode, so cute, so soft. She was so kind to him. I wrote down what she said. She was like, you're my best partner, I couldn't do it without you, and it would be less fun without you too. Like, so cute, but it also raises the question of what exactly has happened between Gang of Secrets and Guiltrip. I am assuming that Ladybug has told Chat Noir that she's told someone her true identity that wasn't him, and then they may have got into an argument about it, but he's ultimately forgiven her for it. But as a result, their relationship has changed a little and she's trying to be kinder to him, possibly. That was just speculation, but the relationships, especially between Ladybug and Chat Noir, as well as Marinette and Adrien, do seem to have changed ever so slightly in this episode. So I'm desperate to find out what exactly has changed between Gang of Secrets and Guiltrip. So now let's talk about Rose and her Kwame. So it's not spelt like Daisy, but the version I watched made it sound a lot like it was called Daisy. Either way, Kwame was super cute. Perfect for Rose, absolutely love them together. And her transformation, it was very cute, but it literally looked like she was gonna break her neck with the start of the transformation when she does her hair. But her whole outfit, her hair, everything about it just suited Rose absolutely perfectly. I think I just want to do a whole video on the outfit and her hair. It was sheer perfection. Very cute. I loved it. It was adorable. However, I do think we need to talk about Chat Noir's line when he was like, is this a superpower? He is right. It is a very odd superpower to have. I don't really see how this could be utilised many more times. Like, Rose did seem to be decent at fighting. To be fair, there wasn't a lot of fighting in this episode. It was more of just swimming in this like vortex thingy. It wasn't really fighting at any point. She did seem able to help, but I can't imagine how useful that power's going to be in a big battle with Hawkmoth, maybe at the season finale or like a different season finale. I just can't imagine many other ways that this power could be effective. It obviously worked in this episode because of the nature of the Kwame and the nature of the Akuma, but otherwise it was a bit odd. I liked it, but it was a bit odd. You can't deny it was a bit odd. However, we do have to remember Miraculous is a kids show, the target audience is 6+. This was definitely a good lesson to teach to kids about optimism. What was the line? What the problems aren't important, but how we fight them is important. There was something along those lines. I don't think that was exact, but that's definitely, you can see it's the educational part of the show coming through. This episode was about teaching kids about optimism, and I think it was done in a really nice way. But like I said, I just am having trouble envisioning how exactly they can use this Miraculous again. I would imagine you can't get much use out of the pig Miraculous. I don't really get where they could take it from here, to be honest. Which brings me on to the next question, is that I would please love to know how the charms work. I know we're going to find out in episode 4, but now episode 4 doesn't have an air date, so how long are we going to go without knowing how these charms work? I want to know. I'd rather not see another single episode until we get episode 4, which is when the charms make their first chronological appearance. Like, it's driving me crazy. I just want to know how they work. And it also raises the question, in Optigami, assuming it really is Kagami who gets akumatized, is Ladybug going to give her a charm then, so Kagami will stop getting akumatized? Honestly, I just don't feel like Kagami deserves one. Like, I'm sorry. I get she was hurt in that episode emotionally by what Adrian had done, but that doesn't give her an excuse to physically hurt Adrian. Like, no. That will never be okay. I have zero sympathy for her anymore. Like, I don't care anymore. But anyway, I want to know how those charms work, like, desperately. So onto the final scene of the episode. They're back in class and Marinette takes the cushion off Rose, and honestly I was just like, I feel like you should have let her keep that cushion, because you did promise her in Darkblade that she could have a pink cushion for her to sit on because the chairs were uncomfortable. You did promise. I feel like you should have let her keep the cushion, to be honest, Marinette. And also, back to Lila. Why was she even laughing? Like, was this an error that she was included in this episode? Like, why would she ever laugh at Rose and Marinette? Like, why would she? Like, why was she there? No one wants you there, Lila. I know that sounds a bit harsh, but it's true. Nobody does. So I just don't understand why they bothered including her. Of course, it's possible that something happened with Lila and the class between Gang of Secrets and now. But if that's the case, if Lila did become nicer, which I highly doubt, she doesn't run after them to go and help with Julika. She stays behind with Chloe and Sabrina, so I don't imagine that to be the case either. So it was just a bit of an odd inclusion. Like, when I saw it, I was just like, why are you laughing? Why are you there? Why? So like I said, overall this episode is a 7 out of 10. I don't think there was anything wrong with the episode. I did think it was a really good episode. It just definitely wasn't as strong as the other episodes we've seen, and it wasn't as, I guess, groundbreaking as like Truth and Gang of Secrets were. Good episode, not a great episode, but also not a bad or a terrible episode. It was good, but I think it was better than an average. Like, if it was an average, I would have given it like a 5. It was definitely above average. It just definitely wasn't my favourite, but feel free to disagree with me. If this episode has been your favourite so far, then I love that for you. I'm glad you enjoyed it so much. So MVP of the episode, of course, goes to Rose. She is the one who saved the day, and she looked amazing with her Miraculous. However, if you've been here for any length of time, I was considering quite a lot about giving MVP of the episode to Mark. He didn't do anything, he didn't have any lines. All we saw of him was stood in the lunch queue, and he moved back to let Rose pass, and then he was sat with Nathaniel. That was it. But I love Mark so much. I love him. I wanted to give him MVP because I felt like he deserved it. He just really came through in this episode. That was an exaggeration. I just really like Mark. Mark, he's Mark. I have no words to describe him, but Mark is best boy. Love Mark with all of my being. I love him. Anyway, best line of the episode I think goes to Adrian with, "Not all of the things you say make sense, Marinette. Truer words have never been spoken in this show." Like, literally nothing Marinette says makes sense, pretty much. At least 90% of what she says doesn't make sense. I've said it before and I'll say it again, this channel is a Marinette Dupencheng support group. We love Marinette on this channel. We are Marinette stans. We stan Marinettes in this house. And if I asked my family, they'd say yes, but only out of confusion, to be honest. But they'd say yes nonetheless, so we really do stan Marinette in this house, and I hope you stan Marinette in your house too. So yeah, I did really like the episode. Like I said, not my favourite, but you know, in a few weeks I won't mind rewatching that a few times because it was super cute. I thought it was adorable. And those Adrianette moments, they sent me. I was done when he looked at her in the boiler room. Out. It was beautiful. Yeah, I loved it so much. So anyway, on the 11th of May, which is next Tuesday, Queen Banana will be on at the same time again in Brazil on Mundo Gloob, and again I will watch it the day after because I'm an old lady and I stop functioning after like 9 PM. 11:30 PM it's too late for me. I can't do it. I just can't, I'm sorry. So that was pretty much it from me. I don't have anything else to say about the episode, but I would love to know what you thought of the episode. Please let me know down below all your thoughts. I try and respond to every single comment, but because there are increasingly more and more of you, it is getting increasingly more difficult to do that. But I will try my best when I have the time. My PhD comes first, but now I'm getting paid to do this, which is just amazing. I never thought I'd get paid to make videos about my favourite TV show. It's just insane. But like I said, because I'm getting paid a bit now, I can justify spending time making videos as well as replying to comments and engaging with you all. It was actually part of the reason why I started this channel, because I wanted to talk to people about Miraculous, because I don't really have anyone to talk to about it apart from like 2 of my friends. So I'd love to know what you thought of the episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!